Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 61 of I Just Got My Kid to Sleep. I'm Michael Palisak, and we're a little late on this, but that's a parent thing. It's a parent thing. It's a trend here, and I Just Got My Kid to Sleep. Being a little bit late on the podcast. A little bit. I feel like every parent-child situation event should come with, get there when you can, though. And it does usually. Like Jack is playing soccer right now, YMCA soccer, and he has a game every Saturday at 11 a.m. He's on a team, and they play the same team every week, and they've won every time. They should really mix up the teams. Um, and the first time I took him, it was at 11. I was like, oh, we gotta get there at like 10:30 because an adult or older child thing is when you play a sport, you gotta get there early to warm up. And I was like, we're late because we're on time. And then we got there and they start warming up at 11. They're like, yeah, that's the 6-year-old event I need. It's like we start right now. And even if you're a little late, you're not gonna miss the game. So anyway, it is Wednesday, and I just got my kid. It's during the day. I don't know if you could see the glow or the shine. That's not super awesome to talk about. But I had a great weekend. I don't know if you've ever been to New Mexico or Colorado, but they're beautiful. That's the beautiful country. If you ever wonder why our country is so big, is because when you keep going, it's beautiful. Like if our country was a video game and you started in the east and went to the west and you had to make it across the country in the video game, you'd be like, these levels are harder, but they're beautiful. I guess that's Oregon Trail. But I remember Oregon Trail. If it's still out there. You can, I think, download it for your phone. You have to pay for it. I think Apple does a thing where you can subscribe to their video game thing, and Oregon Trail is like their big get. Like you can't just buy Oregon Trail for your iPhone. But I really want to now. I'm gonna look into that. Next week, the podcast is gonna transform into an Oregon Trail podcast. Oregon Trail fan. Did you ever play Oregon Trail? Was a computer game from when I was a kid, when Macs weren't even the best computer. Not okay. Don't want to start a fight, but I have a Mac, and or it was on the Mac computer, and it was the best game. It was all like thinking. There was some skill. Like basically you're a family and you have to start in one part of the country and make it to the other part of the country. And that is that there's a lot of stuff bad that can happen. You can go hunting for buffalo, which was my favorite part as a kid because I didn't know that they were endangered at the time. We just kind of didn't cover. I remember playing that game in like 4th grade the most. I remember staying after school to play a computer game in 4th grade. It was the airplane game where you land the airplane. It was a really cool game. And I remember also in 4th grade was when we did state history. And I was just talking about this recently. I grew up in Indiana, and there was like a little card that you had to fill out every time you learned a new thing about state history. And Indiana was the home of a lot of Native Americans. I mean, Indian is in the name, and it was because we learned all about that and their culture and their ways, and then we just didn't learn more about them. Like at a certain point in history, it was we kind of stopped history anyway, which is probably I don't think it's good the way people are mistreated, obviously. Anyway, so Oregon Trail, you get to pick your name, I think. You know what other computer game we had, which definitely influenced me as a parent, was the one we played at the library a lot, where you could there's a person's face on the screen, and you got to pick different attributes for their face to be a face, and and then that was the face, and that was just what we did. You just designed a face. And I remember when my child, Jack, he's at school. I just got my kid to sleep or school or visited a different school. We visited an elementary school. Do you realize what that's like? That's what our life is like right now. When I was a kid, we didn't visit. We just went to the school that our parents dropped us off. My parents probably could have dropped me off at different schools every day for the first couple of years, and I'd be like, "This, yeah, that's the way life is." But we pick a school, and like the kid has an opinion on it. Like we have to let him think he decides. I don't know. I don't know. We could walk to my school growing up, and that's one of the main reasons we went there. But in cities, we're visiting elementary schools. They have charter schools where you can live in one area and be like, I don't want to be educated with these people. I'm gonna go there. Um, which you're one of those people. You live there. So there's one school district where I live, which on the website of the elementary school, it says this is a charter school, but we don't really have room for you. Like it literally is like we didn't take anybody really that we have a lottery. You have a lottery to go. Growing up, the lottery was how you won money in big cities where I live. It's how you go to school and have a productive experience. Listen, anybody can go to school for free in our town, but you got to win the lottery to have a positive educational experience throughout. I think the most important thing is the kids. And how do you know whether the kids are going to be cool or not like cool, but like nice and kind? And the teachers too, and the things you study, and like lunch and I guess there's a lot that goes into it. But this one school district, it's a charter school, and it says it is, but it's really like we only can really fit the people that live here. And then I live in an apartment, so I was like, well, let's just see what that's like. And then their outline of their school district is pretty much all houses. They're like, we don't no more renters. Anyway, we'll see, maybe someday. But we missed it this year. But anyway, we visited a school. We're trying to decide, and there's two people that to get to decide where my son goes to school. Me, my son's mom, and then my son gets to think he decides. We mentioned that earlier. Which you would think is a swaying vote. You know, you think if his mom wants one and I want another, and then he picks one, then that's just where we go. But that's happened last year. That happened, and he didn't. It was really shown. Like he didn't have any. I think my family needs to go to the electoral college system. I know that people criticize it, but I think it should be like, who's taking him to school the most? I am. I work weekends. So I should have a bigger, I don't know. Everyone probably believes that they're absolutely right. So who am I to judge for other people for thinking that they're more right than I am? But yeah, picking a school, like we met with the director of the admissions school, and like those conversations get into specific details, and there, and the lady was very nice, but I was like, are we still allowed to go here? Like after you know us now, you know? Anyway, Oregon Trail. That should be my main question when we visit elementary schools. Like, what is your take on teaching Oregon Trail in schools? That's what I want to know. Is it appropriate for kids to know that they could die of dysentery in the 4th grade? That's when I learned about dysentery deaths. Is 4th grade. I think it's a little early, but I think kids also deal with death a lot differently than parents or adults in general. Like kids are so far away from naturally dying that I think they would get sad, but I don't know. There's a song about a kid that he's singing it to his loved one, and he's not like a kid. He's probably like 20s, and he's gonna die soon. And I didn't think Jack would pick up on it. And then the song he's like, "Is that kid gonna die?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Now I gotta watch what we're listening to. You're not just listening to the music. Smart children. So anyway, what's your theory? What's your philosophy on Oregon Trail? Does it teach? Is it just a gamified version of history that doesn't stick? But I remember that game a lot, and I don't think I ever made it to that. There's a point in the Oregon Trail where why am I getting so caught up in video games? What's going on in my life game where I'm like, let's just escape to a fake. Anyway, there's a point in Oregon Trail which by the way, I don't think it's saved back then. That's a big thing that I've noticed recently. Like old video games, sometimes there were passwords. Maybe that's what it was. I don't remember. But if they didn't have that, then you just had to play until you were done, which part of me likes because it's like the game's just like, whatever. we're not. You didn't beat it. That's fine. But um, so there's a point in Oregon Trail near then where you have to choose whether you're gonna ford the river, FJORD, fjord the river. How valuable is that for a third, fourth grade kid to learn that J can be in a word and make no impact at all? I mean, that's worth the price of admission right there. So you got to choose whether you're going to, actually, I don't know if that's how you say ford the river. But that's one option is fording the river. And the other way, which takes a little longer, but less death from river, is to go around. And we always just forded the river and died. We would lose people. We would lose people. We would lose siblings. You would lose siblings in Oregon Trail fording the river. And I'm not a fan of it, but I do understand making decisions for the greater good and picking something that might get you out to recess quicker, um, as a leader. And maybe that's why I haven't pursued leadership positions, because I know that if there's a risk involved for human life in a video game and it could be quicker and more fun, that I might pick it. And I did, and I lost family members in the video computer game, and I don't want to lose real people. That's my Oregon Trail. That's the trail we were on. I don't think I ever made it. Whenever I drive and I end up driving near the Oregon Trail, I just feel like I'm cheating. I'm like, this is way too fast. I need to get like a whole thing. I need a gun so I can hunt buffalo and rabbits. Ah. Why do we need to learn about the past? So you're not doomed to repeat it? That's one quote. If you don't learn about the past, I don't think I will. I think if I don't learn about Oregon Trail, there's never a chance that I'm going to have to go across the country in a wagon with a gun and decide and hunt buffalo. Well, I might learn about fording a river. Risk, I guess it does teach. Anyway, there was another game, computer game. I don't know if anybody ever played this. This is much less popular, but really, really fun. And I kind of wish we had played it in school until we beat it. There was a game where you would do this thing. You would build a bridge. So there's a bridge, right? And there's two different countries. And every time you do something that's positive for the earth, you get another step closer on this bridge. But you also have like economics to be concerned about and inventions and all these different things. And you have to have codes to build the bridge. Or if you just agree at the same time not to shoot each other, you get to build more of the bridge. And the whole goal of the game is to build the bridge. But at some point, you kind of get caught up in bombing each other. And then all the places blow up and die. And that was a good lesson too. That's like a movie, I guess, right? War games where they're like you're playing a thing, but really it's real life. Ender's Game too. I guess I just ruined Ender's Game. So yeah, games. Kids, I get why kids work at a young age, because how many games can they play? No, we don't want to work. But yeah, I was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Santa Fe. I didn't sing it at all while I was there. That's from Newsies, the musical movie. Yeah. I auditioned with that song for my play in college. There was a musical production of The Perfect Game at Xavier. It was the first production ever of the invention of basketball musical play. And I auditioned with that song, and I got the job of the basketball coach, which was like a big job. It was a kind of normal sized role. And then like a senior was like, and I was like a sophomore. He was like, I want that. And then I got moved to being a referee, but the referees ended up being funnier. Maybe it's just because I was the referee. We were blind referees, and we had a funny song. So that was yeah. But I was in Santa Fe. I flew into Albuquerque. That's my Breaking Bad thing. I didn't see any Breaking Bad stuff. Like that show does not show the best sides of Albuquerque. Like if you want to go to Albuquerque and see the Breaking Bad stuff, I don't even know where you'd start. I didn't see any meth houses or high schools at all. And all the, no signs of things being blown up or drug dealer. It was just really nice town. And I almost went to an Isotopes game, which maybe you know this. The Isotopes is the mascot of the Albuquerque minor league baseball team. The Albuquerque Isotopes. I think it's because a long time ago we would blow up nuclear bombs in New Mexico, and that has to do with isotopes because an isotope is what you use in chemistry. It's like the elements. It's a version of the elements that um that you they're in the bombs. I don't remember, but then also uh I started doing talking like that recently, not recently, but in my stand up shows. I did a show one time in Las Vegas and I was middling, right? I was going up second and I wasn't the closer, the crowd was still warming up and it was Vegas. So people are on vacation, they're drinking, they're having a good time. And I just felt like there were some jokes where I was like, I know this is where the funny part is right here. And I know you're all not listening yet. So I'm going to say it over and over and over and then do the punchline. And I don't have to do that for normal crowds. But anyway, Isotopes, Albuquerque Isotopes, but also in Simpsons, the TV show, their baseball team's name is also the Isotopes. So whose is it? Whose is first? Albuquerque is not Springfield, that's for sure. That'd be like if there was a TV show where there was just like the Boston Yankees. It's like no, you can't use real stuff. I bet the Simpsons were first. That's my bet. Because why would they pick a minor league name that already exists? I have to sneeze. Oh, I don't need to tell that anymore. I'll just start sneezing. Do I have that permission? Do I have consent to just sneeze in the middle of my podcast? But yeah, I was in Albuquerque, no meth, and then not that I was looking, and then I went to Santa Fe. That's the Christian Bale song that made him later be like, that's the only movie I regret. I don't know. I thought he was great in it. And in Santa Fe, New Mexico, I did a show at Unit B. I think it's called that because Unit A is where the restaurant is. But the place where the show is this great place. It was packed, oversold. And but if you came, we'd find a place. We could make that money. And it was very, very fun. And then after the show, I was going to drive to Colorado. And here's the thing. Here's my only thing with Colorado is that I'm not from Colorado and I don't know all the stuff, right? Like I started comedy in Chicago, so I know where to drive, how to drive, where, some people get murdered, some people don't, like like I feel like when you live in a city, there's crime. And when you live in the middle of nowhere, there's wild animals and mountains that you could fall off of. So it's just like, you don't really get away from anything unless you live in like Indiana, where it's all pretty safe. But I don't know. I don't know the bad parts of Colorado where a rock might fall on your car. So I stayed the night in Santa Fe and then drove to Ridgeway in the morning. And as I was driving, I was like, this isn't that scary, I feel like I'd be safe in this mountainous neighborhood. No no problems at all. And then I did my show in Ridgeway, Colorado, which is beautiful. I stayed at the Hotel Palomino, which was it's got like this Western theme because apparently they shot the movie True Grit, the John Wayne one, not the Matt Damon one, in Ridgeway, Colorado, a long time ago. And Ridgeway is so beautiful. I have family there. I went up on a mountain, like on a ridge of a mountain, and I looked out. Check out the Instagram stories if you want to see. Maybe I'll post it. It could be a post. Get out of here. Is Michael posting? I am posting stand up from the special. The special is called He's Friendly. Find it on YouTube for free, all of it, or you can see the clips, the reels. But anyway, I went to Ridgeway and saw family. That show, full, really good crowd. The Sherbino, check out the Sherbino. Here's the thing about the Sherbino. I hope I'm saying that right. Sherbino, I did my show, but then coming up in the future, they're doing The Wizard of Oz. Okay. which we all know that, right? The Wizard of Oz is the sequel to Wicked. So I don't know if it's really a sequel. It's like a different, but Wicked came first. Well, Wizard of Oz was written for, and then I think that's how. How do you? I feel like any story is popular can just be like, what happened first? What happened first? I think Harry Potter did that. I love that there's a meeting like that, like a creative meeting. Like we have this hit. We have Star Wars, right? We have this. What's interesting about Star Wars is they said episode 4 in the first movie. Was that not a problem for anybody else? Star Wars came out. Never been a Star Wars movie before. How did he decide that? That's so smart. Because it's like, they always say start in the middle. Like, not with my podcast, because the beginning really gets it. No, I bet if you start in the middle, because then it's like you're just in there, Like the best, in my opinion, Harry Potter movie is the last one because it starts in the middle of the 7th book. You ever watch a movie from the middle and be like, I didn't need any of that, Um, sometimes I like watching a thing and just enjoying it for what I can see and take. But Star Wars, the first one, people know this, but it's at episode 4. How did you make that movie? Was there not one producer that was like, well, shouldn't we start with one? That's what if I was a movie producer and George Skywalker Lucas was, what a cool name, Skywalker. Ah, that's a really good name. Chewie, Han Solo. Anyway, Leia, Jar Jar Binks. So who he had made other movies. I'm pretty sure he did American Graffiti at that point, which is a great movie. Here's the thing about American Graffiti. I grew up in a small town in Indiana, and American Graffiti was about kind of like LA, high school LA in like the 50s. And that was my life as a high schooler in Indiana in like the 90s, 2000s, 90s. Was That's not how far behind the Midwest is, but we just kind of stayed there. American Graffiti is just about high school kids driving around in cars and getting food. And that's kind of what my high school was like, just driving around in cars and getting food and then graduating. Um I think it's totally fine. I think it was a social fun social thing. Um but like George Lucas comes in, he's got this movie, starts out episode 4. I think that'd be my job, my thing as a as a production executive. I'd be like, well, where's episode 1? And he'd be like, no, 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 no. I'm like, well, should we start with 1? This is the good one. Oh, okay. I guess that convinces me. If someone looks at their own work and they're like, well, this really picks up at 4, let's do 4. We really don't need a lot of backstory in people either, right? You meet someone new, you get them. You get them right away. Like, I got you. I don't need to hear everything. I'll find it out because what are we going to do? Just not talk while we're hanging out? I'll find out. But like you go on a date or you meet a new friend at a event, you talk all the stuff, but you get it, right? Maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, Oregon Trail, Star Wars, sequels, first. Oh, yeah, Colorado. So, Ridgeway, Colorado, great town, hotel, super fun time. What I liked about Ridgeway the most, so I grew up in a small town, but Ridgeway is even smaller. And what I like in small towns is you can go walk around. Like I walked around because I don't go to bed that early, but everything there closes so early. Like the show got done at like 9, and everyone was like, "Well, we closed our businesses to come to the show, so it's all done." So I went back to the hotel and realized now it was 9:30, and I don't go to bed at 9:30 Mountain Time, definitely. So I went for a run, and I asked my aunt who lives there. I was like, "Do I need to be careful?" And she's like, "Well, where are you gonna run?" I was like, "In the town." He's like, "No, there's no mountain lions there." Oh, oh, okay. So there are mountain lions. We're just going to assume that the town part that no one is ever in at night has no mountain lions too. Whew. So no one really knows because no one's there anyway. But I should just be okay. There were a lot of deer in the town, and there's no lights. and they're just eating the free grass and food. How nice it is to be an animal. How nice is it to be an animal? I made that a sentence and a question. Questions are sentences, Michael. Um, but how nice is it to walk outside and be like, oh, there's food right here, right? Like I got to do a horsey ride, horse ride when I was in North Dakota, and it was like a trail, and I've never ridden a horse before, but I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. They offered it. It was really cool. But as we were doing it, the horse was just eating stuff, and that was just, I mean, it is okay. I'm not gonna say don't eat, but it's like, I don't know. Most people don't get to just eat their whole job. Like sometimes they'll take a lunch at their desk, but it's not like, hey Michael, you want to go get lunch, and then we'll also do work. I guess do lunches for work. This is a lot of backpedaling on strong claims. So I'm walking around this town late at night all by myself because I feel like I usually live in a big city, and I usually have a kid in my apartment who's mine, who's asleep. So I don't, obviously I don't go for walks, and that's not even joke. You can't leave your house if your kid's in there. Like one time we were trick or treating for Halloween. Jack was with me. I wasn't just out, and there was this couple, and they're just sitting out in front of their apartment building, and their baby was in their apartment, and they had the little monitor, and I was like, I get it, that's fine, but it's still like, no one's getting close to my kid. Um, so anyway, I was like, I'm gonna go for a walk at night. I went for a run first and was afraid of all the animals, and then I was like, I'm just gonna walk around because I feel like if you're running and you're doing an aerobic exercise, not an anaerobic, but an aerobic exercise, which is where your heart rate goes up to a certain point where it's aerobic. Um, when you're doing that and your heart is really working, then then I just thought about something else. I really should be in this more, Why am I having thoughts that aren't about what I'm talking about? Isn't that great that I can like be talking about something with you and then I have something seep in there about something that I need to do later and just totally take over what's going on. And I think the reason it did is because I wasn't clear on the best way to do the next thing. And so, and my brain really likes questions. It's just like, well, we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this. And usually it boils down to, at this point in my life, I could ask people what they think, or I could just do it and see what happens. Like, am I going to respect people and their opinions and influence on my life? Or am I just going to be like, yeah, click, done. Anyway, I don't know what that click was. I think I bought something. Anyway, so I walked around this town and no mountain lions at all. So I can vouch for that now. I can tell people that in the town of Ridgeway at night, the mountain lions don't go down there. At least the ones, and there were a lot of deer to eat. So if mountain lions are watching this, maybe check out the town. Um, it was really fun walking around. Kind of fun, kind of scary. I thought it would be less scary because I used to walk around, my town I grew up in. You could go for a walk, and I wasn't scared. But this one I was a little, because there were like deer around a lot of the corners. I didn't want to like run into one by accident. And then there were these water sprinklers. Sprinklers? I think we know they're water. They're not sprinkling Gatorade on the grass. Gatorade on the grass. So it was like it sounded like a river because like at one point the sprinklers would hit the trees and it would just be like pew, pew. It was like pop, pop, pop. And I was like, oh my gosh, someone's coming. And then it was just the sprinklers. And then I walked down back to where the show was and I looked in the theater and I remembered, do you ever do this? Do you ever like look back at a place and be like, oh, I was just in there? And then you imagine like you traveled time a couple hours, which not a good use of traveling time. Like I feel like if you're going to travel time, maybe go further, but you go back and you just watch all the people there happily enjoying it. It was very special. And then, and I kept walking and I walked past this bill and this guy was still at work and he was a jeweler. And, I was talking to my aunt and another friend that lives in the town. And I was like, hey, your jeweler works overtime. I was walked by at like 11 and he was the only person that was at work. And they were like, yeah, that's what he does. And I thought it was pretty cool. Whenever I see someone that gets to like work at night on something they like, I feel like it's kind of cool. That's that's something I shared. So I was in Ridgeway, and then I drove to Montrose. And Montrose, Colorado is not far. It's like the city, the big city compared to Ridgeway. And I did a show at the Association of Historic Potato Growers. And we've talked about this show a lot on the podcast because it's not the current potato growers, it's the historic ones. And then I found out that's just the name of the building. I didn't meet any potato growers. I did have a good potato soup from this place called Layered. It was like a little pop up restaurant, and they were very nice. But I got there, and they're like, "Oh, we got vendors here for food." And then I get there, and I ordered the special, which was like grilled cheese and potato vegetable soup. Which, by the way, I did that thing. Did you know, where did this pencil come from? I don't even remember buying this or using the eraser that much. What is going on? Anyway, this is, yeah. So, um, didn't see a lot of potato growers. I ordered, oh, have you had grilled cheese? Have you made yourself a grilled cheese lately? Have you? I Googled it because I used to make them and I ran into this trouble. Here's the trouble. Here's the cooking part of the show. Cooking with Michael. Here's the trouble that I have with making grilled cheese before this is that I would put them on the pan with a little bit of butter or whatever, and then the bread would be burnt before the cheese cooked. Come on! No one taught me how to do this? Now I gotta eat burnt bread. My mom would always be like, that burnt, that's like smoking cigarettes, she would say. Anyway, so I just Googled it, which I should have done earlier. So stubborn sometimes. Anyway, and I found out that if you turn it on low and don't put a lot of like oil in the pan, just like a little bit or whatever, then and cover the grilled cheese, then all of the heat will be trapped and it'll cook the inside too and not just the outside. And that'll be then it just makes a perfect grilled cheese. There's a movie called Chef or something like not Top Chef. Anyways, it was John Favreau, and his wife is, I think his wife is the lady from Modern Family, and then his girlfriend is Scarlett Johansson. Like this guy, how's he gonna like? He wasn't married to her when he was dating Scarlett Johansson, but he had to like say goodbye to Scarlett Johansson to like go back to his family, and he was happy to do that. But that'd be great if you could cast like your ex and your current as the like I think Dominican, I don't know what she is, but South American. The lady who's married to Al Bundy on Modern Family is your wife, and then your person you were with previous to her was Scarlett Johansson. Like that's movie movie match. Anyway, he cooks like the best grilled cheese sandwich. He's like a estranged father kind of that comes back to into his kid's life. Maybe he never really left his life, but I watched it on a cruise. I don't know if you know you can do that. When I went on a cruise one time for shows, they have DVDs you can check out. And I went on the cruise being like, I'm going to read this book, War and Peace, still working on it. And I did, but I ended up watching movies every night. It's amazing how when you have nothing to do, how your day just fills up, you know? Like on that cruise, I did one show over 7 days. And every day, there's almost a weird anxiety of like, I have nothing to do. Well, I'm going to do this and this and this. No, I have something to do. Anyway, so great grilled cheese. But I ordered it, and they didn't tell me this when I ordered it. But I have a show, you know, in like 45 minutes, and then I come back like 10 minutes later, like, oh, there's two more in front of you. Like they couldn't make more than one at a time, and I was like, well, I got a show, and then I got to skip the line a little bit, and they gave me a free blondie brownie, which marble brownie. It was like chocolate and yellow. I got to find out what the other color is tasting wise and or contents wise, and then we'll go from there on what it is. I'm definitely going to eat that brownie. It's a good sweets run in my house right now. Right now in my house, we have a birthday cake that my son bought for his mom that no one knows about. Everyone forgot. Everyone ate it at the party. We took it back to my house, and Jack doesn't know about it, and I'm eating it. It is chocolate frosting with marble cake, and it is so good. Chocolate buttercream frosting, marble cake, so good, so good, so good. And he decorated it with his hands, which I got to do a good lesson about cooking. He took a cooking class when he was 4 at preschool, which I don't know why it didn't stick. But I was like, he wanted to put eyes on the cake and M&Ms. And when you're a parent and you're giving a gift, your child's giving a gift to the other parent, you want it to look like it's from the kid, you know? You want it to be a thing from the child. And I think that we did that because he was like, this is what I want. I was like, perfect. And I wasn't like, here's where you put the eyes. He's like, he put 5 eyes at the bottom, which this is a 5-eyed monster cake, and then blue M&Ms because those are his favorite. And at first, because I had him wash his hands, because that's what you got to do. You know that. You know that. If you're preparing food for anybody, you would know that. If you ever gone to the bathroom in a restaurant, they're like, you got to wash your hands. All employees have to wash hands, which that's always a weird sign for me to see because it's like, shouldn't they just know that? Also, why do employees use my bathroom? It's always, I don't know. I mean, employees can go to the bathroom wherever. One thing I thought was weird at this Target I used to go to, there was a Starbucks inside the Target, and that's where the employees would like go when they were on break. And I get why they have break rooms. Maybe they didn't have a break room. Maybe it wasn't as nice as the Starbucks. But like, have you ever seen somebody who's not at work, you know, when they're enjoying not worked at all that day? Like they're at Target maybe doing some good stuff. Like their countenance, their expressions, their overall mood is way different than someone who's like in the middle of a shift, just like eating and getting stuff done. And it made me sad. And it's not that they shouldn't be able to go to the Starbucks on their break. It was just like, I don't want to look at it. No, I feel I have empathy for them and their job. Um, anyway, people should be able to go wherever they want. I don't need people taking this clip being like, Michael doesn't think Target workers should go to Starbucks. I just think that if someone's in a uniform and at their job, and they're taking a break, then they should go to a place where they can not be seen. I don't. Anyway, this is, anyway, so I was teaching Jack how to cook, right? Well, just how to get ready for food. And I was like, you gotta wash your hands. You have to wash your hands because when we eat, we wash it. But sometimes we have like a lot of hand wipes around, and like we'll just wipe our hands. And I just let it go because I'm not. You can be strict on some things, or you can let a lot of things go, and I let a lot of things go. And but I was like, you gotta wash your hands. You can't just wipe your hands. You gotta dry them, and then afterwards, you can't touch your face because 6-year-olds are all over their face. Right after washing their hands, they're like, "Oh, I'm just touching my face." And I was like, "You can't do that if you're gonna decorate this cake." And he's like, "All right," but I thought he would just be like, "Okay, that makes sense." But then he was like, he's like, "What about my shirt?" And I was like, "No, I don't think anybody eating your mom's birthday cake would also want you to put M&Ms on there after touching your shirt. No. How about no shirt? How about no shirt, no face?" And he's like, "All right, what about my pants?" I don't think it's getting better. I don't think that's better. It's pants. I was like, no pants. It's like, what about my socks? Definitely do not touch your socks while decorating the cake. So anyway, he put blue M&Ms on them and eyes, and then we had this cake, and it's really good, and it's still in my fridge. And I was gonna have it yesterday, but you know what happened yesterday? I don't know if you know. Jack and I went to Universal Studios. We have passes. We go for like 2 hours after school, and every once in a while. And he asks every time. I don't recommend this as a parent. Like I didn't live near theme parks. We went like once every 5 years, and I live pretty close to them now. And so like it was cheaper to get a pass. But now we can go a lot. And I've picked him up from school before, and we've gone. And now every time I pick him up from school, he's like, "Are we going to Mario World?" I'm like I've set the bar too high for fun. What am I supposed to do? Just bring him out into the middle of a field? I'm thinking about doing that though, because normally we go to a playground. Or I think it might be good as a parent a couple times a week, or maybe at least once a week. Just pick them up from school and go to a middle of a field and be like, "I'm just gonna sit here and you just be a kid," and then they might sit there too, or I don't know. So we also have a donut from Universal Studios. It's a Homer Simpson donut, which I've watched a lot of The Simpsons. I'm on season 28 maybe, And there's not a lot of he does eat donuts, but not as much for how prevalent it is on the property of Universal Studios. Like there's multiple places you can buy it. There's a big one, and it's this huge pink donut that's like 6 donuts in one. And we got that on the way home, and Jack ate a part of it, and now there's still that too. So I got that and the birthday cake, which what? I don't even have to make cookies. I bought cookies I can make. They're not even slice and bake cookies. They're just pre-sliced cookies. I like it that I like it that there's an executive producer that greenlit Star Wars and was like, yeah, let's start at episode 4. That's not smart. I also like it that there's a guy at like Pillsbury that was like, all right, so here's our new development. No more slice and bake. We're just gonna do bake because we honestly don't trust adults with knives and our product. So just put them in there, and it's less fun, I would say. People are eating it too much before they cook it. Have you ever eaten raw cookie dough? I have not. I do love cookie dough ice cream. But that's okay to eat, it says. It says? Yeah, cookie dough tells me that it's okay to eat. I don't have a problem. So, got a lot of sweets going on right now. But I think it's good. And yeah, what was I saying? The shows. I flew back this morning. Not this morning. Yesterday I flew back, and I was gonna do the podcast from the airport, but our flight got delayed, so you didn't get a live from Denver International Airport. But maybe you will. Maybe someday, someday, somebody once told me the world was gonna roll me. I was at my son's soccer game, and he's in the 6 and 7 year old league, and he's a young 6 compared to these 7 year olds. And there was a 7 year old that was singing that song, and I was like, good for Smash Mouth, all the generations. Smash Mouth. Do you imagine that they sang that song 20 years ago, and they're like, this is gonna rock for first graders for a long time. Anyway, so yeah, teaching Jack how to cook. Um, I was at a hotel. So here's my issue with hotels. It's not an issue. It is. I'm not gonna apologize. It's a thing. I'll go to a hotel and either I'm gonna sleep until I wake up, which hopefully is really late, or 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 I have to be up like 5. I had to be up at like 5 to fly to Montrose, 5:15. And at breakfast at hotels are usually week times like 6 to 9, 9:30, weekends like 7 to 10, 10:30. And I think that's timeism, because I get it. You don't want to leave prepared food out all day, but why are you locking up the milk? How valuable is this yogurt? You think I'm just going to hoard it in my room? Why can't I grab some now and so I have some food when I wake up in the morning? Why can't I grab a bagel, stick it in my fridge? I'm paying for this. I'm paying for this. And I just think it's not fair. Why do I get respected less? Why do I have to wake up early on vacation? That's one thing I didn't really get into when I was on the road. I had a 11, usually I get a late checkout, but I was staying in a different brand hotel, and my checkout was at 11, and they knocked on my door. No, I did have a late checkout that day. I had a 4 p.m. checkout, and they knocked on my door at like 11 and 12 and 1. And I went out and I was like, hey, I got a late checkout. And the lady was like, no habla inglés. And I was like, lo siento, cuatro. And then, yeah, it was sad. I had to wake up, but it was okay. Whenever I get woken up at a hotel early, I feel like then I can really live, you know? I got asked to take a taxi recently, which never happens, or no, not a taxi, but I was in that JFK airport, and I was going to get my rental car, and this guy was like, "You need a ride?" That is, I'd seen that happen before. I'd flown with my parents as a younger adult, and my dad had taken people up on that. Like, people will come up to you in the airport. They used to, and they'd be like, "Do you need a ride?" Like, they do it like that. Like, "Do you need a ride?" And then you say yes, and then they take you in their black Suburban, and they drive you somewhere that you tell them to. Hopefully, with the dawn of Uber and Lyft and all the stuff, they've kind of gone away. But in New York, it was there, you know? And it always feels weird. It always feels like they're asking for money, but they're really providing a service. Like, you got any change? Or you need a ride? Like, it's, You need a ride? Like they know I need a ride. Everybody who landed needed a ride. Like they flew. No one lives at the airport. Now I got to come up with an excuse, but I did have one. I had rented a car. And that I like sometimes I'll feel anxiety in my life and then I'll be like, "No, that makes sense that I would say no there." You need a ride? Oh, I just got this rental car, but I'll take a ride. And then, if I need to go somewhere else with the rental car, I'll just, you know, walk back, Uber back. Can you pick me up and drive me back to get my rental car? I don't, what's so good about your ride? Like when someone's like, do you need a ride? There's not a lot of questions that I feel like I can ask. Well, what is your rate like? Hey, man, you need a ride? What is your rate like, sir? Do you have a license for this? Do you need a ride? Are you part of the Better Business Bureau? Do you have a taxi line? Need a ride? Um, so yeah, it's been a while. And then this happened too. I was on an elevator at a hotel and, and I pressed like the button I needed to go to. And then someone got on the elevator and they pressed their button they needed to go to. And, and then the doors open. And I get so excited usually when the doors open because I'm just like really happy to live. And I started to step out and it wasn't my floor. And instead of just coming back in, I was just like, this is your floor. And, it felt weird for me to know that they know that I know where they're living for that night because I was just trying to say, whoops, not my floor. But I said, this is your floor. Like, kind of not that creepy, but a little bit like, do you need a ride? Like, this is your floor. Like, I don't, I don't, maybe it would have been good to say it, but I was like, not that I need it to be your floor or I'm tracking your floor, but this is not my floor. I got too excited. I'm a comedian for a job. I get very excited about life. You know, um, this is your floor. I didn't even say it like I work there. Like your floor. See you later. Do you say have a good day to people on the elevator? I don't always ask questions to you guys. I don't know why. I never get answers. Maybe some people do answer, which thank you so much. So my friend Nikki commented about Bubble Bobble recently and how hard it was. But I'll have to tell you, Nikki, Bubble Bobble is pretty easy until the last level. I haven't beaten the last person yet. I should try to live stream it. Person, it's definitely not a person. The trouble with Bubble Bobble is in the last level, you got to put bunch of bubbles out and then shoot lightning at this huge thing. And I want to get good enough so I can beat it with Jack, but I also don't want to beat it without Jack and then him not be there for it. He thinks I never play video games unless he's with me. Anyway, um, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to communicate with your kids. I learned that. We still have our Easter eggs colored. They're in our fridge, and I put them out last night because I'm gonna throw them away soon. Because I think I wanted it more to last longer, and then Jack went to go eat one. I was like, oh, those you can't eat those now. And he's like, but I saved them because I thought you didn't want me to eat them right away. No, no, no. I want you to eat them always. They're eggs. There's protein. Anyway, there's that. But thanks for all the comments and the things. But do you, when you're in the elevator with someone, and do you say have a good day when you leave or when they leave? I've found that I like more. This is what I like more. And I'm a pretty friendly. I have a special called He's Friendly. And I don't like it when people introduce me on stage and they say that he's friendly. He's got a because it's not about me. It's about people saying their dog is friendly. But that's a long title. He's friendly, not Michael. I mean, he's kind of friendly, pretty friendly, but it's really referencing a joke where he tells people that people tell him that their dogs are friendly. Maybe I should just say that on stage if someone does that again. That 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 could be see, we were productive today. We were productive. We've been in Nate. I can see the trees from my window. I met a tree yesterday. I met a tree. I did. It's called the Mother Tree. It's on my aunt's property, or in their mountain area. And she said a grandma tree. It was like 450 years old. Is that real? 450 human years? Man, do you think trees are ever like, just cut me down? I'm good. I've seen enough of nothing. The same birds' kids come by, the same kids. Ugh, kill me now. And trees can't. That's the one thing. If you're a tree, I don't think there's any way you can kill yourself. You just hope for the best. Humans are kind of the only ones. Anyway, not that anybody should. No one asked to. We're all good. Anyway, do you say have a good day? I always used to feel like when I was in the elevator with someone that I should say have a good day. But now what I like even more, which I think I'm friendly, but what I like even more is when I get in the elevator and there's no social contact. Not I don't like that no one says hi or makes eye contact or anything. But when there's nothing, I kind of like going into the elevator and they're doing their thing and I'm in my world and then I just go out. And I feel like there's almost something more intimate about that because it's like I we're so close already on the elevator that I don't even need to say have a good day. You're a stranger to me for sure, but I feel so connected to you that I don't have to talk. Um, I doubt that's how they see it, but that's how I feel like I feel like I'm on the elevator with a stranger. We don't say a word or talk. I leave. I feel like I know our relationship better than a lot of friends, really, that I might feel an anxiety to talk up to or have questions for. But that's just stuff I'm dealing with. But what do you do? So I'm going to Tyler, Texas this weekend, Friday, Saturday, 4 shows. I'm in Tyler, Texas at Rose City Comedy Club, and I'm in Oklahoma City on Mother's Day. OKC, Mother's Day. I might try to go to a basketball game if there's one while I'm in town during the day. It's a nighttime show. And then next week, I'm in Corpus Christi, Texas, and San Antonio, Texas. And then the week after that, I think it's the week after that, I'm at the Hemmings Cultural Center in Elgin, Illinois, and then the Fort Wayne, Indiana Comedy Club Summit Comedy Club, because Fort Wayne is the Summit City, which as a kid, I was just like, oh yeah, because I grew up near Fort Wayne. Yeah, it's a Summit City, Summit. But now I'm like, there's no mountains, and Summit means like the top. This is the top. It was topping crime rate per capita while I grew up. Maybe that's, I doubt that's what they were referencing. Did you know the Washington Wizards used to be called the Washington Bullets? And I think it was because of all the high crime in DC. Talk about embracing things and trying to turn them into a positive. And then there was a player that had a gambling problem with another player when they were the Wizards. And there was like a gun that got taken out. And that's when the news was like, maybe it should be the Washington Bullets. There's a documentary on Netflix. I haven't watched it. But yeah, getting rid of the Easter eggs. Moving on. Spring's almost done. We're gonna pick a school. Yay! Have a good week. Thanks for understanding that it's Wednesday, and my kid. I think my kid got to sleep. I think he's taking a nap at school. Today's soccer practice day. I'll let everyone know how soccer practice. My son's team's on a winning streak. They haven't lost when my son has played, and I don't know how much impact he's had, but he's very high in spirits about it. If you haven't seen Minecraft movie, we talked about that a couple. It's good. Um, we'll probably go to McDonald's to try to get another Minecraft toy. All right. I love you. Bye. Thank you.